Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your elevated creativity, more joy, and prosperity. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been living an intuitive life for decades as a creative. That translates to transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 27 years through two businesses as a business strategist and a life designer. And prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. Follow Your Joy is an entrepreneurial resource for creatives sharing their challenge to victory stories through the lens of listening to their intuition. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. All right. Hey, hello. Happy beginning of summer. And welcome back, or if you're new, to Follow Your Joy podcast. It's been a while that, in fact, I think it was, January since the last time I was on here. Had a lot of terrific guests between January and now June. Hope you've had a chance to listen. If you haven't, please circle back to the episodes. I've got a winemaker. Oh my gosh, I've got what else? A woman's health advocate and company. There's just terrific ones. So please take a look at the last several episodes and dive in. So, all right. I am going to be telling you quite a story. And it is about I started a new company. However, that's really not the story. So I was born with a happy chip in me, always optimistic, always a dreamer, right? Always a can-do attitude. And then life can take its twists and turns. God is there to soften the edges, right, of those traumas and the challenges and the detours that really help transform you to your next level. I'm no different, right? Well, that's what's been happening since last year when I knew it was time for yet another reinvention for several reasons. Because I went through a reinvention. If you listened to my the very first episode of January 2026, I shared with you about the reinvention I was going through and the things that I was doing. Well, this one that I'm about to explain and share is quite different and a much more aligned, true version of where I'm meant to be. So this reinvention, for several reasons, thanks to my intuition telling me, nudging me, going, not quite yet. You think you're there, but you're not. Because something was just not completely aligned for me. Because what I had done just real shortly and briefly is I added onto my mentoring company of 18 years. This was as of January, February this year. Is that I added on content creator, affiliate marketer, YouTube, more YouTube presence, TikTok. So in other words, even more online presence, which was something my heart, my soul, and my spirit was saying, yeah, you don't want to be doing more of that, girl. All right. So reasons for this now truly aligned reinvention is, again, thanks to my intuition that kept nudging me, not quite yet. Secondly, the huge changes in the coaching space, in the coaching industry, right, that I've been a part of for 18 years. Lots and lots of changes, from an understatement over saturation to AI coming in, and now people are relying, including sometimes myself, on our AI to coach us, to give us advice, to give us the directions. Literally, the transformational space took a huge turn. However, the blessing in this distraction, which I'll go through a little bit more in a moment, is that it deepened the importance of human depth, which is what the transformational space is about. A robot will never replace that. I call it the human elegant depth, right? The feelings, what requires you to evolve, okay? You can't get that from a robot. You can get a lot of other great things from a robot, but certainly not that. Okay. Other reasons for this reinvention is the even bigger changes in the world and how humanity was being and is being reconstructed, right? By the breakdown of systems and structures that once gave us safety and some level of certainty. And by the way, this has been happening since the pandemic. It just keeps going and going and going, right? And leaving us kind of in a distrust and uncertainty and fear, right? It's everywhere. Right? So whatever you can do to be the opposite of that, help people calm their nervous system down, help people be more grounded, be the light for other people. But there's so much change going on. And in fact, we had all hoped that at least after the pandemic upheaval, that we would level off to some sort of calm and choose refined ways of being, right, in a changed world. Well, it hasn't quieted down, as I just mentioned. And in fact, it's gotten more demanding, so much that everywhere I look, probably you too, of course, that everywhere I look, people are reinventing themselves daily, right? They're making their way through the disruption of AI. They're pivoting and they're pivoting and they're pivoting, right? I did too. I've been doing that. And it's a very dramatic disruption that has us in this nonstop redirection, questioning, pivoting. Do I try this? Do I try that? And honestly, it's exhausting. And that's firsthand from me, what I've experienced, as well as many other friends and associates. So, on a side note, look, there are parts of course, AI that I and thousands, millions of others are thrilled about, right? And how incredibly efficient our businesses run now, right? And how I can create and implement new ideas and building systems. And being a writer, I write a lot and then I'll plug it into my chat partner, and it will refine it. It knows me. It uses my brand, my language. I love it. Absolutely love it. The other parts of it is how the emergence again of AI has anchored even more, right? This non-replacement again of human depth. Okay, that's kind of what emerges when you have disruption. There's always a blessing, right? There's something that will come out of it. That's a positive, and that's what this is we want more connection, even more now. And we really want to anchor in on the human depth. And that is definitely a gift and a challenge. So being caught up for me in all this disruption, innovation, and the major changes in my transformational industry, I've been so ready to express myself much differently, much differently in a new chapter with a refined identity. Yes, I did the change December, January, February, but there was another one coming. There was another one coming. So last year I began, again, pivoting my brand and how I impacted women and men clients and how I showed up in the world. And so, I I still wasn't fully aligned. And by May, I'm talking last month, is when another big epiphany came. When I was craving, really craving way more expression, my creativity, who I am, who I was, just more of me. It still was laying dormant. Okay. So it all happened. This is when it all came together just a month ago. Is it happened at a Redondo Beach chamber ribbon cutting when I met Olivia Pucci, a fabulously talented singer and performer of 20 years. Prior to attending this event, I was deep in the world between worlds mode when everything I was trying felt and looked like, okay, this isn't it, as I mentioned earlier. And it felt like an unraveling, almost like a failure, kind of a mess. Nothing seemed to be working, right? And I know you can relate with that. And a few months prior, I attempted, right, adding these elements of the of this online entrepreneur business that I've had. Again, the content creator, the YouTube, all that stuff, the Amazon store, which I still have. The biggest issue was that I was required of these new elements that I added to my existing business, because I needed to be online even more. And I just hit a breaking point. Like, I don't want to be online even more than I already am. It was already affecting my mental health. It was already affecting how I operated. Right? I didn't want to be sequestered. In other words, I could not live one more day being sequestered in my home office or a coffee shop, sitting in front of my laptop all day without really in-person, human connection and variety and interaction, fun, play, adventure, all that enjoyment. Because I'm an extrovert and I do have some introvert tendencies, which is pretty common for a creative, needing some sacred time, right? To get quiet, refresh, fill the well back up, right? And ground myself. So in that breaking point in early May, I looked up the local chamber events and found two ribbon cuttings, right? 2 days in a row. And I was like, I'm going. I literally said, that's it. One was for a new art center that also had workshops in it. And the other one was for the grand opening of Gray's Crave, which is a new franchise for charcuterie boards and boxes. So I went, that's it. Gonna go meet new people, get out of this house, go. Right? So I made myself get dressed and go meet people. So interesting revelation as I came to understand that the rearranging of my outer life, as in the physical form, is a sign of evolution and up-leveling, right? Not failure. So as much as I was not there yet, I was pivoting, I was trying different things. It felt like it was kind of a mess. It felt like it really was not working for me. What was really happening in this world between worlds is who I wanted to be and who I was becoming, and my vision of what I wanted, which, by the way, was a painful period of uncertainty, was actually a very active evolution in process that was soon to show up in this physical form once I took the right inspired actions. And that's what happened with the Redondo Beach Chamber events I went to. So it was these fortuitous events at the ribbon cuttings when all the last 8 to 9 months all came together. All I had at the moment was pure faith and praying to God, please show me what to do and where to go. My lifeline during that time was my dear friend Dina, who acted, again, this was just last month, right? It was April and May. who acted as my mentor, really holding space for me to break through and believe I can manifest something meaningful and impactful that would allow me to express all of who I am and be happily financially rewarded for that. Right? It was divine intervention, meeting Olivia, that sparked the breakthrough. I discovered in our lengthy conversation that afternoon during the event that she too was craving a new chapter to leverage and expand her artistic, career and her business, because for 20 years she built everything on her own. She was done with that challenging, exhausting version of herself and her business. She knew there was a new level. This then was a manifestation for both of us. I call it a double blessing, kismet. Yeah. She was feeling, thinking, wanting change for a while. And I was feeling and thinking, craving this up level, a new chapter, how I can fully express myself, my creative self, and how I impacted women and made a joyful living at it. So there we were. We came together, divine intervention. And within a week of meeting, we had a few follow-up meetings, and she became my first artist client under the newly formed business Reverie and Velvet, a creative house devoted to women artists, founders, and visionaries, expanding into greater visibility, success, and self-expression. Okay, I quickly at that moment got God's message that was trying to reach me for months. That was the blending of my 38-year background in entertainment publicity, artist management, business strategy, personal branding, and reinvention mentorship to serve high-achieving women to elevate their talent, their visibility, their brand, their revenues, and next chapter with sophistication and clarity and soul. I got to work and fast. It was a creative energy that really enveloped me, inspired. I was like in the zone, you know what that's like. And ideas were just pouring out of me. This was literally as I was meeting with Olivia, and it was that tipping point for me spiritually, energetically, creatively, right? All of the levels. And all these ideas started pouring out of me one after the other in a matter of days. My joy was overflowing and a bigger picture emerged. And that is not only the business, Reverie and Velvet, explain to you what that means in a moment, but the mission behind it. This was not just a business, it was a mission. And thanks to the help of ChatGPT, my best ally, this is what came out. So the formation of the mission is this: to champion a new era where women's creativity, artistry, leadership, and intellectual contributions generate greater cultural influence, visibility, impact, and lasting wealth for women globally. That almost literally took my breath away. When that came out in my creative zone with ChatGPT, as I'm creating this new platform, this new business, it became this global mission rather than just a business that was going to change lives. And that is when the lights went on, the up level happened, and I was like, okay, I got you, God. I'm hearing it. All right, so the name, I love, love, love this. So Reverie and Velvet integrates my most favorite ways to serve and make an impact. Reverie is French for dream, imagination, a dream state. Okay. And more of that, right? The depth of it, of reverie, imagination, is artistic, it's elegant. This is the brand, okay? Emotional intelligence and beauty, cinematic, luxurious, expansive, intuition, creative becoming, new chapters, reinvention, soul, possibility. So that's reverie, right? Velvet evokes timeless creative luxury, artistic sophistication, soulful glamour, cinematic storytelling, old Hollywood allure, jazz clubs and music lounges, right? Backstage conversations, candlelight and creative salons, richness, texture, femininity with substance, and emotional warmth. So imagine velvet feels like a beautifully lit room where artists and founders and musicians and storytellers and visionaries gather for meaningful conversations, creativity, music, expansion, and influence. Are you getting it? Yeah. I just it's like I almost don't know what to say other than it's in my heart. It it's all what I've been wanting to express. It's bringing together all of me over the last 38 years under one roof. See, before my online business, which started in 2008, and before the endless webinars and techie funnels and forever email marketing and relentless social media strategy and all that, I spent 20 years in entertainment publicity and artist management. I worked with celebrities and filmmakers and actors, musical artists, performers, choreographers, creative visionaries. There was obviously media, red carpet events, and storytelling, and stimulating creative conversations, and live music, and creative energy, all that. And I was helping talented women and men, right, performing and visual artists become more visible, right, and fully expressed. Boy, I love that world deeply. And it lit me up so much. There was variety and artistry and wanderlust, entrepreneurship, a lot of fun, a lot of play, a lot of adventure, and monetizing creativity. And somehow, over time, I drifted away from those parts of myself that once felt the most natural until now. And to add to this story, on a side note, this is all part of the reinvention. So you can really, really get a feel for what was going on here behind the scenes. So a few personal difficulties had happened in a 2-year time span that really impacted my need for this reinvention. Between 2021 and 2023, in the midst of navigating post, right, pandemic, I lost 4 main anchors in my life that had me feeling like I was drifting, right, in the ocean without a life preserver. I was living with a whole lot of grief, not knowing how to process it while coping to keep moving forward. You know? So what you saw out there on social media and on email and me doing programs and changing lives and everything, this is what was happening in my life that I know many of you, it's the first time you hearing this. And that is my father passed away in February 2021. My 30-year-old son, who I'd had a close relationship with, having raised him as a single mother in a very positive, loving environment, estranged from me in May of 2022 due to, and this is my true soulful perspective and assessment, is that due to a traumatic love relationship that really impacted his well-being, so much so that he threw me and all women under the bus, creating what I believe to be a very distorted narrative about us, mother and son, in our history. Now, yes, there's a lot more to it, but that's kind of the sum of what happened. Look, I pray every day he heals his heart and his mind. I love him to the moon and back. And to this day, since May of 2022, we've spoken 2 times in the last 4 years. However, nothing will take away the truth in what a remarkable effort and love and intention, right, I did raising him. So aside from the estrangement, which I know is temporary, he's a brilliant, hardworking young man with a wicked, sarcastic sense of humor. And I'm very proud of him and how he built his life now at 35. Also, my soul dog of 17 years in May of 2022 passed away, which was, I knew was coming. And then my mother passed away in September 2023. So now you got this 2 year time frame where these four main anchors left my life. I mean, where are you going to go with that? And try to operate and try to cope, right? So here I was stricken with my world collapsing, feeling like, if you will, an orphan, even though, yes, I have two sisters and loving friends, and at that time, a well-running transformational, company, but I was lost in my heart. Yeah, I did therapy. I did Reiki healings, energy healings. I did life coaching, all of that to help ease and heal the grief. It was a lot to handle all at once. So now, 4 years later, as I stopped trying to figure out my next chapter, and instead I started deeply listening even more to my intuition, which is something, as you know, I stand for, I teach. It's what this podcast is about, is again, deeply listening to my intuition and my soul. When I really did that in the last couple of months, that's when everything gelled together. So piece by piece, my entire life began integrating. My entertainment background, the artist development, the PR, the journalism, the business strategy, again, the personal branding, the new chapters, the reinvention, the money relationship coaching, the visibility, the feminine-led success. Oh my gosh, storytelling, intuition, all that. No longer separate. It's now unified. And from that space is where Reverie and Velvet was born. So again, the moment I stopped trying to figure everything out, the right women started arriving. So I am thrilled today to announce that my two new Reverie and Velvet clients are now with me. One is for artist management and business strategy. I already mentioned Olivia Gucci, and she comes from 20 years of smooth jazz, R&B, soulful classics. She is a beautiful, beautiful singer and performer. And second, for new chapter reinvention and business strategy, Iman Hobbs Brown. She's the new franchise owner of Gray's Craze in Redondo Beach. She's the curator, she calls herself, of elevated charcuterie, connection, and celebration. And she is a gem. And I'm working in the trenches with her. It's her first experience being an entrepreneur. And she is having a ball. And so am I. Both women are extraordinary. Both are visionaries. Both are fully aligned with the spirit of Reverie and Velvet. So for the first time in a very long time, I don't feel like I'm chasing something. I feel like I've come home to the woman I was meant to be at this stage in my life. And that feels like the beginning of everything. So I truly mean it. When you follow your joy and block out all the other noise, you will find peace, your happiness in what is meant for you at whatever season you are in. Yeah. So I thank you, God, universe, angels, and my guides daily for and I say thank you to God, universe, the angels, my guides, for holding me and protecting me through this painful yet humbling season of change. Oh, I know it's a lot. It's a lot, a lot. So if something in my story, okay, if something in my story resonated deeply with you, perhaps that's where a private conversation begins. And I'm currently now accepting, right, a limited number of inquiries for artist representation, and that is singers and visual artists. Okay. And founder, entrepreneurial, women entrepreneurial mentorship consideration through Reverie and Velvet. I invite you, if that is what feels right to you and you're curious, I invite you to email support at, for now, marladiane.com. A new website is coming for Reverie and Velvet. You'll be able to then, when we receive your email, we're going to send you my overview, right? It's a PDF overview of Reverie and Velvet, what it is that I do with you, who I'm looking for as far as artists and founders, and how we can collaborate, as well as very specific questions to answer so that we can then begin an introductory, right, conversation. Okay, so the next step is that. All right, I'd love to hear your thoughts, how this landed with you. Does it resonate? Are you going through something similar? I can bet my life on that is the case, that some of you are going through similar. I'd love for you to reach out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or email. I'd love to hear from you just as to what's going on in your life. How did this story of my own land with you? How did it feel? I would love to hear from you. All right, everyone. So there you have it. That's what's been going on. And I am incredibly grateful for evolution, for transformation, for the courage to get through it, and of course, for you being here sharing that with me. Be well, be blessed, and I will see you on the next episode of Follow Your Joy. I've got a wonderful guest that has to do with travel, women and solo travel, and wanderlust. All right, you take care and God bless. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my free downloads to uplevel your business and your life. And Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out. Let's connect there. If you received inspiration from the episode, I'd sure appreciate a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Until next episode, take care.